2, 3, let go.
All right, here we go, live and direct from the planet of Queens, New York, and Crystal Palace TV. Jim Daly, PalacefanTV, there you are. What's up, man?
Fantastic, I'm good, really good. How are you?
Good, man, good. I mean, you've been very busy. First of all, let's talk about what you've been up to. Now you're presenting for PalacefanTV, and you're also writing for a newspaper as well, right?
I freelance at the Daily Mirror, which is the newspaper in England, now and then. And I present for PalacefanTV. I host which is a Crystal Palace YouTube channel. I host a podcast for Crystal Palace as well, called the 5 Year Plan Podcast. I also write comedy. I do stand-up comedy, and I have my own YouTube channel with comedy songs on. So I do, a little bit of everything.
Wow, that's keeping busy, because when you first came on a couple of months ago, you had created a song for Eva Carneiro, the Bennett for Chelsea, who's no longer with Chelsea now. I mean, we're going to talk about that in a bit, but let's start off with Crystal Palace. You know, everybody wants to hear about Mourinho and Van Gaal. There's a lot of banter on that, but let's start off with your team. Crystal Palace right now is fifth place, and you play Chelsea next.
Yes, we beat Chelsea back in August at Stamford Bridge, and I think really Palace were the first team to sort of send them on that downward spiral, really, because after that they started losing to everyone, and I think in a way the Palace result at Stamford Bridge kind of eroded that fear factor from Chelsea, because ever since I was a kid, whenever Palace were in the Premier League, you play against the big teams and you'd always expect to lose. I think that's always been the way. This season has just shown that anyone can beat anyone, and I think Palace beating Chelsea was one of the first results in the Premier League this season. Everyone's like, oh, hang on, actually, anyone can take on the big teams, can take on the champions. So certainly it's been a rough ride for Chelsea since then, but I think you've seen that across the league. You've had teams like Leicester and Watford, Stoke, all beating bigger teams, and Palace, of course, and it's been a really, really interesting season. So, and for Palace, it's been fantastic. I mean, we're fifth in the table, which is going into the new year, which is absolutely crazy. We never thought that. So it's been great. I'm always nervous Palace are about to throw it away, because that's the mindset you are as a Palace fan. But I'm very much enjoying the ride so far. So,
do you think it's because of the influx of money into the Premier League, or is there more going on there? Is it Alan Perdue? Is it Johan Cabaye? What's going on exactly to get you guys right now? You're EuroLeague contention, which is great. I mean, you guys in EuroLeague would be wonderful.
It's crazy. I mean, it would be. I've never seen Palace play abroad. I'm not to lie. We went to Germany for a friendly a couple of years ago. I never played a competitive game abroad, so I would love to see that. That'd be like a sort of thing to tick off my list. I don't think we're ready for it yet. I think our squad is not quite deep enough. We've got a couple of injuries at the moment, and we haven't scored in the last 2 games. So I think that's exposed that we're actually not quite ready for it yet. But still, you can't say no to the Europa League if you get the chance. So we are in a great position. I think you're absolutely right that it is down to the influx of the TV money. That seems to get more and more each season. So this really is, if you're a team like Palace who wants to progress, this is the time to be in the Premier League, and we've timed it absolutely perfectly. We've managed to buy Johan Cabaye, like you said, from PSG, I never thought we'd have anyone like that at Palace. When I was younger, we had Attilio Lombardo from Juventus, who was fantastic, but he was sort of at the tail end of his career, whereas Cabaye's at the peak of his powers now. He's 28, 29. He's a fantastic player, and he's just glorious to watch. He's so good. So I argued the other day, he said that it's just getting crazy. He said that we want to buy 2 more Johan Cabayes with the TV money.
Easy enough.
Can you imagine that? It's crazy. Can you imagine, 2 more players of his quality at Palace? So I think it is, and the TV money has a lot to say for the way things are going. It's making it more competitive. It's probably making it more frustrating for fans of teams like Chelsea and Man United, because teams like Palace are now be able to compete. So it's certainly sort of levelling the playing field, I'd say.
Ellis?
Yeah, it does seem pretty odd, as we've seen Manchester United break the British transfer record 2 years in a row, and they're still struggling. So they're in 6th spot. It's amazing. And then you have teams like Crystal Palace, and Leicester City, which we're always waiting when they're going to start their drop from the higher standings, but they keep on staying in that top spot. They still, after the first round of games, that was one of the major surprises on top of Chelsea's decline, of course. They tied Man City and they're still top alongside Arsenal. It's remarkable after first round of matches. It's incredible. Jim, do you think the appointment of Alan Pardew has a lot to do with their recent success? Him coming out of Newcastle, not yeah. Why was he so instrumental? Why do you think he's such a big figure?
He's very confident. And I think when you're a team at Palace's level, you need someone who is confident in himself as a manager, and also who can instill that in the players. Because our squad's a good squad. It's not the best squad in the league by any stretch, but it's a sort of squad that if you get a bit of confidence in them, they can push the boundaries. And it's the same thing at Leicester. Leicester's is an average Premier League squad, but Ranieri is making them believe in themselves, and as a result, they're being able to overperform week after week and stay top of the league. So the previous manager at Palace, Neil Warnock, definitely wasn't on the same level as Pardew, didn't really have that self-belief. Some call it arrogance, maybe that Pardew has, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think, when you're at this level of Premier League football, you need to really believe in yourself, and Pardew does that. He also played for Palace as a player, wasn't actually that good, but was a bit of a cult hero. He scored a very famous goal against Liverpool in the 1990 FA Cup semi-final. So I think him coming back to the club just kind of lifted everyone, because it was like an old friend coming home. For years, we'd always thought Pardew would come to Palace at some point. And when he came back at the start of 2015, so it's only been a year, it was exactly the right time for him to come to Palace, and we needed a good manager. He needed to get out of Newcastle, so it all kind of tied in quite nicely. And there's something about Palace that we just like having ex-players coming back. We've had quite a few come back on the coaching staff. John Solarco is back as a coach. Mark Bright is in and around the club. Andy Woodman is back as goalkeeper coach. So we quite like having people come back, so it kind of fitted into the way that we like to do things as a club. And he's a bright, young, confident manager. And I sometimes think it doesn't really matter sometimes who the manager is. I think if the players are good enough, and on your day it's 11v11, then it doesn't matter. But Pardew has mattered. He really has helped, I think, make the players believe in themselves, just giving us that little bit of extra something, a little bit of extra confidence, a little bit of extra flair. Something about Palace is a very bullish, confident South London club, and he fits that mould. So
Jim,
it's just been perfect timing, really.
Are the papers having a laugh with Pardew to Real Madrid rumors? Is that real? Is that, even Valderrama's like, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. What do you think?
I don't think so. No, I think it was our chairman, Steve Parish, sort of said it as a joke, really, to the press. They were saying, would you stand in Pardew's way if other clubs came in? I think they're thinking about Chelsea. There's a rumour that Chelsea possibly might be looking at him for next season, maybe. But and Parish, our chairman, said, we wouldn't stand in the way if Real Madrid came, as a joke. And of course, now all the press are like, oh my God, Real Madrid. So, want Alan Pardew? I cannot see that happening ever. I don't really think he's right for Real Madrid. But who knows? This is a crazy season. I wouldn't think Leicester would be first and we'd be fifth. So who can really tell?
Yeah, look at what happened with Moise in Real Sociedad. Didn't really work out. It's baby steps. As they say. Yeah. Your squad is fun to look at. I like Saha. I like Bolasi. My boy Shamak, which we gave to you guys. Don't return the sender. You guys are fun to watch. It's another thing with Leicester. You guys play interesting, very exciting football. You look at what Man United puts on the field. It's so dreary, so boring. So everybody's waiting for Rooney to come in and do what? Come on, he's only one guy. They keep on criticizing Rooney, but the rest of the club is not playing that well. Besides Mata, everybody else is like, whatever. You could tell they're not into it. But it's like, you guys are professionals. You guys are getting paid so much more money than a side like Palace does. It must be really interesting to see it as a fan, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think we pay a lot of money as fans to go and watch our team, especially away from home. Tickets can be £40, £50. So we want to be entertained, and I think Palace very much appreciate that. Pardew appreciates that. We're lucky that we do have a squad filled with players like Balassi and Zaha and Shamak, who I love, by the way. We all love Shamak.
All yours. All yours.
Oh, we love him. We love him. He's just so talented, and he's just got a real swagger about him. He doesn't really care. He just plays and plays with enjoyment. And he's been unlucky with injuries, but we love him at Palace. And he's got a terrible haircut as well, which I think just buys into everything our club is about. But we're lucky we've got a good squad that can play. It's not even sort of, it's not really pretty football. It's just very direct. It's just very attacking, confident, aggressive football, very much down the wings. We've got skillful wingers in Palacio and Zaha, and I think we just play the sort of football that fans want to see, and it just makes everything so much more enjoyable. And I think also, I mean, you're absolutely right about Man United. They're almost playing with a bit of a fear because they've got so much to lose that they're playing, each game they go into, like, they don't want to lose, whereas teams like Palace and Leicester and Watford are going into games trying to win. And actually, I think that is proving that's the best way to play at the moment. Just try and win games, because if you try and set up to avoid defeat, there's a very narrow margin between drawing and defeat. But if you go for a win and you play attacking football, 9 times out of 10 you will, because you're playing a positive style, and that's exactly what Palace are doing. It doesn't always work. Last 2 games have been 0-0. We struggled a bit, but we're always trying, and I think fans appreciate that. They'll always give you extra time, extra support if you're proving as a team that you're trying to entertain and play positive football. And that's what we're doing. We're an honest team, we're an honest club. We know it won't always work, but when it does, it's brilliant to watch.
And you brought a really good point about fear. I don't think there's that great fear of any clubs anymore. People don't fear Arsenal. They don't fear Man City. Obviously, don't fear Chelsea. Whatever. They're going to be relegated pretty much. And it's great to watch because these clubs go out there and you know what? They can get a result. Even if it's a 0-0 draw, 1-1, hey, it's fine. At least you're showing something on the pitch, and it's something that people want to see. And 9 times out of 10, you guys are getting those results. Leicester City, I mean, I never heard of them. I mean, I've heard of them, but, you never really hear about them, in the conversations at Leicester City, really. Champion squad, et cetera, et cetera. But now these guys are going up against the likes of, Man City, and really getting a result. I mean, like you said, maybe you guys aren't ready for European League competition, but again, that money coming in that will help you maybe get more reinforcements for your squad, and you'll be able to see that on the pitch. So
yeah, I mean, we've had some investment from America as well, so we've had extra money coming in from 2 American investors, Josh Harris and David Blitzer, who own the New York Devils and the Philadelphia 76ers, I believe.
Oh, ouch.
I know their team's not particularly good. But I think these guys, their money has come in to increase our stadium. So our stadium, Selhurst Park, is a, how do I put it, charismatic stadium, but it's a bit run down.
It's charming.
It's charming, yeah, exactly. Good. That's how an estate agent would describe it. And I think Palace want to improve that. So this money from America has come in to improve that, to take the club onto the next level. Because when you're doing well on the pitch, I think you then have to make sure that everything else, all the other infrastructure in your club, is mirrored and is improving too. We're going to put money into the academy. We're put money into the training ground. So I think, yeah, I just feel at the moment like teams like Palace, teams like Leicester are able to make that step up, are able to play without the fear of losing to big teams, and then capitalise on it. And we're getting more money in. Leicester got more money in. It just feels like now is the time that those teams outside the traditional top 6, top 4 are being able to really make a play. And I've been saying for weeks, I'm like you guys, I've been saying for weeks, I'm waiting for Leicester to fall away, kind of waiting for Palace to sit back down again. It's not happening. So who's to say that maybe at the end of the season, Leicester can't win the league, Palace can't get in the Champions League? I mean, it is one of those seasons where I think anything can happen.
I'm looking at my watch like Sir Alex Ferguson, like, hey, come on, guys. R_Gilby is hitting us up on Periscope. He's saying that the top Premiership teams aren't as good defensively as they used to be. Yeah, it's a good point, definitely. There's more of a, I don't know, it's a more je ne sais quoi about how they're playing now. They feel like, we have a great squad, so maybe we're going to do a Barcelona thing where we're just going to try to outscore you. But you guys are not letting it happen anymore, which is great. I mean, it really is really great to watch. And but let's move on to our friend Mourinho and our friends Van Gaal. What's going to go on with that? What do you think is going to end up, the musical chairs of English Premiership managers?
I think Van Gaal's going to go. Probably. I'm surprised he hasn't already, to be honest. And actually, the guy on Periscope makes a really good point. defensively, Man United are nowhere near what they were when they lost. When I think it was Moyes that let Ferdinand and Vidic and Evra go. They lost that backbone. Although, those guys were getting on. You look at Chelsea, their defence has been good for years, but it's getting on. Terry's getting on. Ivanovic is getting on. Cech has gone. So I think maybe we're in a time where a lot of teams are struggling defensively because you've got to have Palace have a good defence. You've got to have a solid defence, solid backline, and you build from there. We're very lucky. We've managed to cobble together a good defence over the last couple of years. And maybe the big teams are struggling with that. Van Gaal hasn't really seemed to work it out. Spent a lot of money on attacking players, that haven't worked out, like Depay and.
That was a great assist by the Pie for that goal where he.
What
was that?
Something I would do in my Sunday team. I mean, it was absolutely terrible.
Oh my God!
It was terrible, but I think that is an example of United playing with fear at the moment. Players like Depay. Normally, players like that would come into a team and would settle quickly and would start to set the league alight. He's really not sure about what's happening, and that players like that make mistakes like that because they're not confident, because they're not haven't hit the ground running like they feel they should do. And I think you have to kind of look at the manager of that kind of thing. He's got a lot of things wrong, and United is a club with big expectations, and I know they had a transition period with Moyes. I think they probably should have kept Moyes, to be honest. Some of the stats now, with LVG's first 18 games compared to Moyes, I think Moyes is actually better statistically. So I think they made a lot of wrong choices behind the scenes at United, and I think Van Gaal's turned out to be the wrong manager. Whether they'll get Mourinho, I think that would be an interesting one, but I think that would be kind of the last roll of the dice, and I don't really know if it would be the right decision. To be honest, the guy called Dave Kidd of the Mirror, who wrote an article yesterday saying that Man United should go for Pochettino from Spurs, and I think that's actually a very wise and sensible decision. I think he actually would do very well, prove himself to be a very solid Premier League manager at Spurs and Tottenham. So I don't think they'll do it. I think they'll go for Mourinho, and I think it will probably backfire. But hey, look, I've spent most of my youth in the 90s watching Man United be fantastic and hating it. So now, I'm getting to watch them unfold, and it's absolutely glorious.
We want Mourinho at Spurs just the way we want Trump to run America. It's going to be it's going to be yeah, it's going to be like Independence Day all over again, like things explode in the background, everything. Ellis, go ahead.
Jim, are you making Eva Carnero's return to Chelsea song, or you don't think that's going to happen anytime soon?
I think it probably will happen actually, because I think that's where Mourinho got it wrong. And one of the big things he got wrong this season was the handling of the Carnero thing. Clearly, a very respected medical in the game, and certainly at Chelsea. So he got that wrong. I think she probably will return. I probably won't be doing too many more Eva songs. I did do another one in the summer when she fell out with Jose, because I feel like there's a thin line between parody and creepy when you keep doing Carnero songs. So I might not, but I am planning on doing a show at the Edinburgh Festival next year, and I might do a new Eva song for that one possibly. Yeah, rumours were that someone played her the original song I did, but I never heard if she liked it or not. So cool. I might just avoid that for now. But I think she will go back to Chelsea. Yeah, I think she will return.
That'd be interesting, because actually our underscore Gilby tweeted us at Periscope through that machine thing that Mourinho, that Man United won't appoint Mourinho because of the whole Carnero thing, because it'll be bad PR. It's a case that's still ongoing, et cetera, et cetera. That may be and the reason why they won't do it. What do you think?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's actually a very interesting
point.
Way of looking at it. I feel like Mourinho's PR in general, not just the Carnero thing, but everything, has taken a battering. I mean, the way that he publicly called out his team after the defeat to Leicester, which turned out to be his last game, was really an example of a man unravelling, I think. And that's something that he would never do as a manager. In his first spell at Chelsea, he never criticised his players. And any time there was criticism, he deflected it away from them onto the referee or the opposition or himself or the fans, So I think that was a real example of him completely unravelling. I think it was really bad PR for him. I think he right now is someone that's, he's he's lost that PR. He had something before when he had the English media in his hands, and now he's lost them completely. And before he was charming and this kind of mystical guy, and now he's just a sort of moody old so-and-so. And I think he's taken a battering PR-wise. So that's an interesting point about Canero. But I think in general his PR has been affected, and that's why I think it'll be a bad appointment for United.
And do you think Van Gaal will go somewhere else, or was this his last appointment? It would be a shame for somebody like him. He's respected in the game to go out on such a sour note.
Yeah, he's done very well. I mean, interestingly, his record is really good at the start of his career with Barcelona and people like that. But recently, he hasn't had too much success. But I'm starting to wonder whether his style of management is becoming unfashionable, and possibly Mourinho. They're very much two kind of dictator-style managers who control everything, and they won't take anyone standing up to them. Almost intimidating kind of style. And you look at the managers who are doing well at the moment in the Premier League, Ranieri and Pellegrini and Pardew, and it's very much more a kind of relaxed. Not so much laid back, but respectable, more approach to things. So maybe Van Gaal's time has come and gone, and I think he'll probably get a job somewhere else, but I doubt it'll be as high profile as Man United.
Ellis?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that firing Ancelotti was a big mistake, because I thought he fits that profile pretty well. Very well respected, great soccer player in his days. Won the Champions League with AC Milan. Why would you? Real Madrid and Chelsea both were at fault for that, I believe. And look where he's going now. When no one expected him to go all the way to Germany and coach Bayern Munich. But yeah, why? They are one of those clubs that I think that where the manager fits the club as well. As they never run a negative balance sheet. They never overspend, and they don't like a person who, as you said, who brings that authoritarian figure, who brings that, I'm the manager and the rest of the world has to follow me, that sort of attitude. So I think Ancelotti
I like Ancelotti a lot. I really like Ancelotti. He's got a great record. He seems like a nice guy. He's got a fantastic Twitter account, by the way. If you want to have a laugh, check out his Twitter account. I think it's at Mr. Ancelotti, which already gives you an indication of what to expect. It's absolutely hilarious. Some brilliant photos. He's got a great raised eyebrow thing going on, sort of Roger Moore style. But I think his record speaks for himself, and I think he'll do very well. But Munich, actually, Munich seem to. I know they're the biggest club in Germany, and they routinely win things, but they seem to get appointments and player signings spot on, really. And I think Ancelotti will prove to be a good manager for them. I think you're right. I think Chelsea possibly were hasty to get rid of him, but Premier League right now, certainly for the big teams, is very much a win all at any expense situation, isn't it? And they want instant success, and sometimes it might take a bit longer to do that. Going back to Moyes at United, I think they should have hung on to him, because yes, it was a transition, but I don't think he'd have been doing any worse than Van Gaal this season.
Hey, I would play a three-man defense also in the Premier League. I mean, that makes perfect sense, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. But it's final. Jim, thanks a lot for joining us today, man. It's been really great. Before we let you go, how can people follow you? Where are you going to be at? You're a comedian. I want people to be able to go and see you live.
Thanks. Yeah. So I'm doing gigs in the UK all the time, but I'm planning to do a show at the Edinburgh Festival next summer. So if anyone goes to the festival during August, it's a fantastic time for me in Edinburgh, so do come and check me out for that. But in the meantime, check out my YouTube channel, which is, if you Google Jim Daly, search for Jim Daly in YouTube, it will come up. But the URL is jimdaly.com/JDFootballSongs, which is a terrible URL. You can't change it. When you select it, you can't change it. So it's Daily Football Songs. If you just search for Jim Daly, that will come up. And I'll try and put regular comedy videos on there. So I'd love it if people could come and check that out. And that would be great.
All right, Jim. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot for joining us on Soccer Senseis.
Thanks,
and
guys.
good luck with Palace. I think you guys can hit the EuroLeague, definitely.
I think I don't think we're ready to, but I think we might. It would be classic Palace. But we're very much enjoying the ride. So you take what you can get when you're a Palace fan.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot, Jim. Cheers.
Happy New Year, guys. Cheers.
All right, cheers.